Hi, everybody. Welcome to our YouTube channel. This is a series of videos that we talk about all things real estate. And this is the second series of videos that we have with Ross Barrett. Hi, Ross. Welcome
Hello.
again.
Hi.
Hi, G. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
So if you've been watching us, just G, if you tell them a little bit more about what we spoke about the last video.
Absolutely. So this series is all about the appraisal gap and how it affects your bottom line. The last one that we just did, the first one of the series, was focusing on people who have a larger down payment. So like to the tune of about 50% they intend to put down. Ross explained how the appraisal gap is going to affect the bottom line when you're in that financial, when you're at that financial level. What we're going to talk about today is when you're a little bit lesser than that. So if you've got at least 10% to put down, there's a few options that are available to you that are specific to how the appraisal gap is going to affect you with a 10% down payment, both for a conventional and possibly for an FHA.
Yeah. So, unlike the last time, where it really didn't matter, what they were putting down, as long as they had that large down payment, it probably wasn't going to affect things at all. Because they already had a lot of wiggle room included in a lot of wiggle room that was included in the loan to value calculation. So in this particular case, like in the second tranche of loans, it's, well, what if I don't have a huge down payment? What if I have a normal down payment, like 10%, 15%, 20%? How does that change things? So how that's going to change things is really, it's just like last time. The only thing that really changes is the calculation of the loan to value. It typically doesn't change rates. Not that it never does. I'm just saying it typically doesn't, especially in this range. It's not going to change the guidelines. It's not going to change, how we look at the loan or if you get approved or not. It's just going to change the loan to value. So again, as a reminder from the previous video, is that loan to value is based off of your loan amount divided by the lesser of your appraised value or the sales price. So in this day and age of appraisal gaps, if the appraisal does come in lower, we're going to be using that lower number that the appraisal came in at. And the loan to value really only affects one specific category of the loan process, and that's mortgage insurance. That's what everybody's concerned about is, do I have to pay mortgage insurance? How much is it going to cost? And you do have to pay mortgage insurance on all conventional loans that have less than a 20% down payment. On FHA loans, you have to pay it no matter what. No matter what your size of down payment is, you're paying mortgage insurance. So let's use an example of a conventional loan. And let's say it's a $500,000 listing, and you love the home, and you want to put some appraisal gap language in there and to help you get the.
So we're going to offer over ask.
You're going to offer over ask.
Listed for 500, but we're going to offer 550 or 575.
Yeah. In fact, I have some numbers written down so we can talk about it. And so that's the exact sample I want to use, G. It's a $500,000 house, and you want to offer 550. Well, again, most people think that, if it only appraises for 500, they've got to bring in that extra 50,000, on top of what they were going to bring. And that's not true. Again, this is just a difference of loan to value. So let's say you're a pretty typical buyer here in Denver, and you're doing a $500,000 loan on a $500,000 sales price on a conventional loan, and you're going to put down 20%. That's $100,000. Okay. And you're going to have a $400,000 loan. Okay. That is an 80% loan to value. 400 divided by 500 is 80. Now, let's say you want to go above that number. Let's say you want to do the 550 with and offer a $50,000 appraisal gap, to try and sweeten your offer to the point where it gets accepted. So let's say that you do that, it gets accepted, and let's say the worst case scenario happens, and the house really only does appraise for 500. Okay. Well, now, you're still going to have your $100,000 down. Now you have a $450,000 loan on a $500,000 appraisal. Okay. It still works fine. That now becomes a 90% loan to value. A 90% loan to value. It's roughly, I'm rounding here, don't hold me to the exact math. But this is, we're going to round to like the next percent, so, you have roughly a 90% loan to value. The only thing that changes is now mortgage insurance has to be introduced. And we have a couple of tricks, for mortgage insurance. If you have excellent credit and a 10% loan to value, 10% equity, the mortgage insurance is actually not that bad. It's relatively cheap. We can also do something called lump sum mortgage insurance, where we just buy it out. We buy out the mortgage insurance right off the bat, and then they never have to deal with it ever again, just as if they were putting down 20%. So in this particular case, with excellent credit, you could expect to pay something in the neighborhood of about, $2,000 to buy out the mortgage insurance. So in the end, if you kind of look at this big picture, for an extra $2,000, I still have a loan with no mortgage insurance at exactly the same rates, with exactly the same guidelines and exactly the same approval process, but I was able to offer a $50,000 appraisal gap. And that's going to be a big deal. G, you can speak to this. How big of a deal is that if you're offering, in this case, like 10% over?
Oh my God, that's huge. Well, if you're at least offering 10% over, you have a chance of winning.
Yeah.
And not having to actually pony that up.
Right.
Because we can do this when it comes to when we're factoring in loan to value, and the ability to kind of work and massage the numbers to make sure that the clients aren't actually forking up that extra money when it comes time to close.
100%. And so, in the end, if you use this as an example, you were able to offer up a $50,000 appraisal gap for what would amount to something in the neighborhood of $2,000 or less out of your pocket. Now, here's where it gets even better. You don't even have to pay that $2,000 out of your pocket. We'll let you roll it onto the loan. And so,
even better.
Yeah, even better. So, like, if you don't even want to pay the $2,000, we'll roll that onto the loan. With how low rates are right now, that'll add roughly $9 to your payment. So, for literally a difference of $9 per month, worst case scenario, you have offered up a $50,000 appraisal gap. And your bottom line's the same. Your payment's $9 difference, and now you've got a winning bid and got in the house that you love.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. So that's the conventional side of things. Now, what if we have a client who is FHA approved, is choosing that loan program for their own personal reasons, and they have 10% to put down?
Right.
How would a 10% FHA scenario work with an appraisal gap?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And sometimes, people, like you said, they choose it for their own reasons, or maybe the credit's not as strong, and we have to go FHA. Those are all very common things, So it gets even easier with FHA because there is no concern about levels of mortgage insurance with FHA. If you remember from previous in this video, I mentioned that FHA has mortgage insurance no matter what. No matter if you're putting down the 3.5% or you're putting down 60%, you pay mortgage insurance on FHA. So the minimum amount of equity required on an FHA loan is 3.5%. So if you're putting down 10, you have roughly 6.5% of the sales price. Roughly, it's not exactly that number. Again, I'm rounding a little bit the way the math works, but roughly 6 to 6.5% of the sales price available for an appraisal gap. So let's just use that number, that $500,000 house again. Okay, they were going to put down 10%. We're going to have roughly 6% of room for an appraisal gap. That's a $30,000 appraisal gap you could put into the contract, that language, and still make the deal exactly the same. Like, it won't be different one little bit. And if you can stay with a little higher equity, FHA does have a very slight difference in mortgage insurance with 5% down instead of 3.5%. But honestly, it's so small, it's not even worth worrying about. I mean, it's that small. So just think of it in bigger terms of, anything that you're going over the minimum down payment anyway, you should absolutely write that into your contracts for appraisal gap, because you're not going to notice a difference at all in the structure.
In the bottom line.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well,
amazing.
That covers everything for me. What about you, Alondra? You don't live in real estate every day like Ross and I do. So how did that come across to you?
To be completely honest, I'm learning more from these videos that I learned in college. I mean, it's
Right.
insane. And that's why I've been so quiet. If you
Well, you know, your
guys-
tuition is late. Like, where is it?
yes. Well, I gotta see where's my checkbook.
Right.
But you know, I mean, it's amazing. Thank you so much, Ross, and thank you,
Yeah.
Dee, because I've been learning so much with this channel, with this series of videos, and I know that out there, there's a lot of people that has been learning. These are so many and such a good information for all of you, free and in your hands information that I know that a lot of people out there need. So share the videos, share our information. Ross's information is going to be in the description, as well as G's contact info, so you can contact them. And you can write us in the comments section if you have any questions, if you want to know more about this. And before we leave, Ross, where can we find you?
So I'm, you know, if you Google Ross Barrett Guild Mortgage, I'm the very first thing that comes up in all the Google
There you
searches.
go.
So it's really easy. You don't even, all I got to do is my name.
There you
You know,
go.
you can even put in like Ross Barrett Loan Officer, and I'm one of the very first things that pop up. So
Well,
you can
he's
see all the
famous.
great reviews that I have on Google. I have a Google, you know, business page, and it'll take you right to my guild page and all the other things that are associated with me. It's pretty easy.
Awesome. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. We do have a
Thank you,
very
Ross.
famous friend, guys. So watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out. And thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay tuned, because we do have another video for this series that is coming up next. So see you soon. Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
G. Bye.
Bye.